My name is Zeynep. I will be your host for the panel Screendance, Lifestyle and Media. So the aim of this panel is to explore the role of dance and dance film in contemporary visual culture. Well, most of we realize if we turn left or right, wherever we look at media these days, it seems that we come across, well, dance. Think of programs such as So You Think You Can Dance on television, or video clips shown on MTV, or films shown at YouTube with different kind of content, but it's all related to dance. So what we see is like dance and dance film is used as a communication tool in various cultural practices. So this is also something that has been organizers of Cinedans have realized. As we all know, this year we are celebrating the 10th year anniversary of Cinedans, so happy birthday! Cinedans is a unique dance on screen festival for the Netherlands, and 10 years ago when it started, it was a small-scale, modest festival. It grew out of, let's say, it was a sidetrack of a Dance festival, but here we are today having, it's an autonomous festival here at the I Film Museum. And what has happened is that during these 10 years there has been an increase in the amount of films that have been sent for Cinedans to be shown in the festival. The festival itself has become an internationally acclaimed dance on screen festival. But another thing that has happened is that there has been an increase in the variation of content. So there has been an increase in the type of films that have been sent to be shown, to be selected for the festival. And these films were perhaps not the kind of films that one would associate with when you hear, a festival of like Cinedans, dance on screen, but films coming from other domains such as fashion or commercials. So the fact that there has been such an increase in this kind of films has resulted in this year's festival, in any case, for a separate block of films shown for urban dance, for example, or for fashion. And this is what we would like to explore today, to reflect back on the one hand, at Cinedans Festival, what it was, what it has become, and what it can be, to open up the field, the domain of what is dance and what is dance film. And on the other hand, to look at, what other domains are incorporating dance and making dance film, and to communicate what and how this communication can be reflected in how we can find the relationship between dance film, like as a more artistic practice, and dance films made for other types of commercials, and the overlap, similarities and differences between them. And this we will do with guests, but before I introduce you our guest, I would like to show you some examples of films, only 3. So you have a bit of an idea what we are talking about.
Baby,
now we have a film from fashion, a commercial by Lanvin.
And this how we gonna do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. I know you want me. You know I want you. I know you want me. You know I want you. I know you want me. You know I want you. I know you want me. You know I want you. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rumba. Ella quiere su rumba. Rumba. Ella quiere su rumba. Si es verdad que tú eres guapa, yo te voy a poner a gozar. Tú tienes la boca grande, dale, ponte a jugar. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Final example is a commercial for a Galaxy phone. 1, 2, 3, 4. Have seen here are three very different examples in which dance or movement in use, and this is communicated through different artistic ways and artistic choices and for different group of public. But they do have one thing in common, and that is dance and movement, and this being on screen. Now I would like to introduce you our guests, who will help explore this the topic of today. Well, first of all, I have here on my right Winke Gunst. Winke is a designer. He makes clothes, and the body is one of his points of fascination, of interest, and he has already experience in making a dance film, and he has worked with dancers. Next to Winke is Patrick Roebroeks. Patrick works at X-Saga. This is a branding company, and this company and Patrick has been the producer of the commercial film for the Bijenkorf, the Drie Dwaze Dagen. Maybe some of you know it already, but if you don't worry, we will show that in a bit. So Patrick, welcome. On my left, I have KJ van Horkom. Now, KJ is doing many things. He is a breakdancer. He dances nationally and internationally. He gives workshops. Maybe you can demonstrate for us in a while. He is studying to become an art director, and since 2009, he has his own company, Motion Victor, where he produces videos and films with a focus on hip-hop and urban scene. And finally, I have Hanneke Kolen. Monica is our theorist for this session. She is currently dance theory teacher at Artes at the dance department in Arnhem. Before that, she has taught at media and culture department at the University of Utrecht. And she periodically writes, for example, for the magazine, Dance Magazine, among others. So, alright, Winke, I would like to start with you.
Yeah. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes. You can all hear? Okay.
Good.
So Patrick, you come from the fashion world.
Winke, yes.
Winke?
Yes.
Oh, what did I say?
Patrick.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yeah.
So you come from the fashion background.
Yes.
But you have made a dance film.
That's right. Which is, I set up my brand, which is a fashion brand. And next to that, I've got a story to tell with the clothes. I know that clothes have a very big influence on how we feel, and we can create a character out of it. We become someone by dressing in a certain way. So I created some designs which were based on stereotypes, and then I thought, how am I going to present this collection? It was called Nude. It's stereotypes, but all in skin color. So you got a suit in skin color, a wedding dress in skin color. But you got many people with different skin colors. So an African type of color, the brown color, or an Arabic color. So I thought, how do I give life to the costumes? It's not just a costume or a statue. So I started thinking, if I worked with models before, where they look pretty, they are good on photos, but it didn't give any story to what I wanted to tell. It didn't told my imagination. So I thought maybe if I acting, but then you start using words to express who the characters are. So actually I thought dancers, they can become someone and show who they are, make the dress actually live. It becomes a person by just looking at it. They can tell the story through clothes. And that's why I made the film Nude with 9 dancers.
Mm-hmm. So you had the costumes, and
Yes.
then you found the dancers to wear them in the film Nude.
And give life to the costumes.
Yeah, and how did you choose the dancers?
Via an audition, where I mainly looked at if they fit the costume, like I had the characters in mind, so I knew what I was looking for. And then I looked at the dancers and saw if they connect to it, to the idea that I had. And those people, when we started working on the film, what I really wanted to do, and I think that worked out well, was by talking with the dancer individually about what I imagined, what the background is, and they themselves gave life to the characters. So the dancer choreographed their own person.
Shall we see a fragment of it? So we have
Yes.
that's right here.
You can show fragment 1, I think, that's good. 45 minutes in total.
Well, for a dance.
Now I only show one duet between two people. In the whole film you see all different people, and in the end they all connect together. What I tried to tell with the story is that by being a stereotype, you actually you aren't yourself, because you it's easy if you wear a suit you get an mirror influence, because it's a powerful thing to wear clothes.
Like, you mean it kind of becomes an expression of a type of identity?
Yes, you can become someone which you actually aren't inside. So
okay.
yeah.
And the choreography was made by the dancers, I believe you had told me.
Mainly, yes, and there's also a choreographer himself who helped the dancers with the technical part.
And did you have an influence there? Did you say, for example, like, did you make comments about the kinesthetic qualities used?
Well,
on the basis of the qualities of the costumes, perhaps? The texture?
The texture, well, before the dancers start making the dance, they knew what I wanted to tell, so they created themselves the story.
Okay. And if I have understood you well, this film is not made for commercial purposes, but it's something that you made for your own...
Yes, yes. This is more art. It's not for commercial purposes.
And you have also told me that you want to create a visual book that you would like to make more of.
I want to keep making this type of films, not always with dances, but in total they become a visual book. So instead of reading a book, and instead of one person writes the book, so you actually listen to one person's point of view, by taking subjects and work together on it with different people and make something that you can look at. Because I think film is nowadays very important. If for example, L'Enfant with they always photograph their photo shoots. It's for the magazines, and those people will see it. But nowadays, people look on YouTube, they Google, and they want to see it themselves. They want to see what you're talking about. They don't want to just listen or read it. So you can see fashion brands start. They think, how do we bring, because they just make photos of the models. It's a bit boring to just film that and put it on YouTube, which happened a lot as well. So for example, L'Enfant decided, well, the models are moving in a certain way, if we put a new up-to-date song underneath, it becomes a sort of short dance film, and that works better.
Yeah,
because,
and do you see this, is this a tendency in the fashion world to work with dance, in your opinion?
I think so for sportswear, for example Adidas and Nike, who all quite focus on breakdance, street dance, that type of dancing, yeah. For the classical brands, I'm not so sure.
Okay, well maybe we can also ask Patrick these kind of questions. But okay, if I can summarize shortly, then you use dance and dance film to communicate, for example, identities through your costumes.
Yeah.
And this you do at the moment, in any case, for an artistic point of view, not so much for a commercial.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Then I would like to move to Patrick. Patrick, shall we, before we go into what you do, show the commercial to the audience?
I think that's very good.
Yeah. Patrick, can you tell us a little bit about this commercial, how it started?
Yes. Actually, the idea was thought by an advertising agency called Selmore in Holland. We are the activation company of the Bijenkorf. In my previous jobs, I worked for the NOS and IDTV in Holland, which is the public broadcast and a big production company. And I made lots of dance films, and they asked me for some advice how to shoot a film like this.
And were those dance films like more artistic?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, or dance was part of an event, or an opening, or a registration, or those kind of things. So I had some acquaintance with people working in that field. They asked me who is capable of shooting a film like this, and there was not more than an idea. And I asked Clara van Gool to do the direction for this film. I worked with her before when I worked with the NOS. And I asked Nanine Lenning to do the choreography, because this film should be a fashion film, and a film about greediness of people going to the 3 dwaze dagen for the people in Holland. It's a kind of a big celebration of commercialism
and consumerism.
Consumerism. And the problem of this commercial, and maybe I go a little bit further, is that the Bijenkorf is a top brand warehouse in Holland, and 2 times a year they make a commercial, and those commercials go about the dwaze dagen and about the marathon, which is you have to go there very quick. Everything is cheap, or at least cheaper than normally. So when they make a commercial about the brand the Bijenkorf, they say it's a kind of sale kind of company, because it's not working on for the brand Bijenkorf as a premium brand. And in this commercial we try to make a premium commercial saying that there is a sale. And I asked 2 people who are not acquainted with the commercial advertising company. I think the way it has been shot by Clara is a non-traditional way of looking to a commercial, and that's the success of the commercial, I think.
And why did you choose for dance?
Actually,
to promote the wild consumerism?
It's a classical creative way to show a little bit the struggle which is behind the 3 dwaze dagen. It's kind of a cat fight for that one trousers you can get there, or that one whatever. And it is a way to tell the story. And what I liked about your story, dance is a perfect way to tell a story, because dancers are very capable of telling a bigger story than only the movement which they are making.
Can you tell me more about that?
I think you're the specialist over here, but I think the reason why I love to look to dance programs, or love to look to dance in itself, it tells you more than the movements you see. They try to tell you a kind of emotion or a storyline. And in this case, dance tells you something about greediness, the fact that one lady is leaving the building with that beautiful silver trousers, which actually was not bought at the Bijenkorf. Don't tell anybody. But it tells a story, and it has energy, and it has quality, intrinsieke kwaliteit. It has. You feel that there is more than the trousers. It's telling more than a simple storyline, I think.
So you mean dance and movement, it has an impact on emotions of the public?
Yes, I think dance is a beautiful way to express that, and I think the world of music was that years ago, and it of course still is that, but you see that in commercials more often, and now you see that dance is conquering that kind of field and is coming into a new world which they can explore, and actually people who are making films about it can explore it as well. There's lots more than the stage of the National Ballet in Amsterdam. There's television, there is internet, this film has been shown for 10 days on television, and has been, during that 10 days, 180,000 views on internet, which is lots of time for a commercial, actually. Yeah. Because you can see that commercial, but I think it's also the best advertisement for dance on itself, in a stair block.
Yeah, so dance getting out of the box,
yes,
the box being the theatre.
Yes, absolutely. And I think there's an enormous field to be conquered by the people working in the dance department, or people who are used to work with those kind of editors or directors like Clara van Gool. Actually, we're now working on a new commercial for the Bijenkorf, and now the Bijenkorf also asked us directly to invent something new, because they feel that they are opening a new kind of world. And I think the people who are working in the Cinedans kind of way are that there are lots more possibilities than making a film and show it here, for instance, in the iTheater on a screen.
So you think there's going to be an increase in this?
Absolutely, absolutely. It can be on television, on telephone, or the digital world is humongous. And I think the fact what people will feel is the quality which is behind it, or do you believe this story? Which you saw. This film was 1 minute. This was actually only made for internet, and the 30-second version was on television. And I think you directly believe that there is a real struggle going on.
Yeah.
And I can't make that. Nanine Linning made the choreography to give me the feeling that it's a real struggle. And Klaver Gool actually did the television direction. It's always a combination between people working together, of course, because this is kind of a Gesamtkunstwerk. I think all those lines between those different departments are vanishing in the future, because in former days you had an art director and a copywriter and an account director. I think those functions are mingling up, and you can see and feel it in this film. Okay. Because I think Klaver Gool gives something to Nanine, and Nanine gives something to Klaver Gool. And the fact that I brought them together, I bring something to the process of making it.
Yes.
So,
can I respond?
Yes, I actually wanted to say, KJ, we will continue with you also, but I think Hanneke...
yeah, because I do agree that there's a huge work field opening up for dancers or choreographers for screen dance in, for instance, fashion or commercials. And then the nice thing that it adds when you see the commercial of Lanvin, when you see the commercial, is it on?
Yes.
Yeah. When you see the commercial of Lanvin, those dancers they're models. They're a bit awkward when they're moving. It's a bit stiff. It's kind of funny. But when you really want to have that movement quality and the craftsmanship that you were looking for in the Bijenkorf commercial or for your dance film, Winke, then you need, of course, professional dancers and choreographers to do that. And the nice thing, I think, of course, it adds a sort of artistry or a status to a department store like the Bijenkorf. But what you also see, you can compare it to the Samsung commercial that you showed us, of the mobile phone, is that those kind of dance commercials enhance a certain type of movement quality associated with the product. In your case, it's struggling to get a pair of trousers that you really want. In the case of the Samsung commercial, it's the tactility of using that mobile phone. And you do not see the Bijenkorf in your commercial or the actual product apart from that one pair of trousers. But it stylizes and enlarges the movement quality associated with the product. And that's a very direct
that quality.
Yeah.
To sell a brand, you borrow the quality of another world. And I think there's a lot to conquer.
Yes, and that's what you need the dancers and choreographers for.
Yes.
And I think it's a development that will continue.
Yes, and I think what you feel looking to those kind of commercials, all those commercials need somebody who has the trust that the story which you will bring across will be much better than the idea which is behind it. Because normally in commercials you make a storyboard which every shot is on paper already, and we sold an idea which is something different.
And Hanneke, what do you think these commercials say about the status of dance as an art form?
I think it does not lower the status of dance as an art form. I think the high arts have always been used in a commercial sense, whether it be Louis Vuitton referring to classic paintings to sell shoes, or the use of classical music in commercials, or whatever. So I don't think it's something we should be afraid of, but rather embrace it, especially in these financially difficult times for the world of the arts, as a new work field to generate also income for dancers and choreographers and filmmakers.
Patrick, I think you are also of this opinion.
Yes, absolutely. I think I just mentioned that the walls between the different craftsmanship are vaporizing. whether an idea is invented by a choreographer or a cameraman or a director or a producer or a production company or an advertising agency, I think within 10 years you don't talk about that anymore. You talk about ideas and the way how to sell those ideas or those storylines through different kind of media types. So I think advertising companies are becoming in the near future production companies. Actually in the Adformatie, which is a magazine about advertisement, there was a big article this week which is saying that even the brands are having creative people inside. Look to G-Star or whatever. They're very creative people inside, and they choose people from the working field, whether it's a director or a musician or a chess player or whatever, and then they combine it, and then they ask a talent like Anton Corbijn or whoever to make a story about it, a visual story. So you see the world of advertising, but also the film and the world of dance is changing.
Yeah, so it's becoming, there's a fusion of fields, and it's also becoming, people are expected to have more interdisciplinary backgrounds maybe.
Yes, and but the nice thing about it, and that's the reason why I like it very much, is that it's all about ideas. And in former days it was all about relations, like I am responsible for the brand De Bijenkorf and I'm the only one who can make the commercial, or I work for Coca-Cola or Nike or whatever. And now Coca-Cola and those companies like De Bijenkorf are looking for ideas more than a fast relationship with a company. So they are picking, they are cherry picking in the field of arts and in the fields of film and whatever. So for the people who have ideas, and I think people are here in the hall as well, it's a humongous field which can be opened.
Well, we have here somebody with a lot of ideas,
yes,
and who also has an interdisciplinary background. KJ, let's also put you in the discussion.
Yes.
Shall we see your commercial first before we go into your work?
That's good, and I can explain the thing I made. It's good.
Yeah. Can you tell us the title?
My production is called Soda Think You Can Dance, and it's a commercial type of arty thing for Red Bull. I went to Portugal to shoot a registration for Red Bull BC1. That's a breakdance, one of the biggest breakdance events in the world, and I went there for registration, and after that I came back in Holland and I was editing the production at the computer, and I was getting inspired by something very strange, but it were flickering lights when the event was opening. There were the lights flickering with all the bombastic people in the crowd yelling and screaming, and I felt that energy I had to use in the further video. So I get my company is called Motion Victim, and that's why I am a victim of motion. I get influenced by motion. Everyone is getting influenced by motion when you are in your daily life. You walk in the city and you see a train coming, or you see some cars. All different kinds of motion can be a form of inspiration for producing something. And that's the way I work, and I like to influence other people with my motion, so I like to make motion victims, because I'm a motion victim.
And was this commercial an assignment?
The registration part was an assignment, but I can't leave an idea in my head. I can't leave it alone. I can't take distance from it. So when I have an idea then I have to make it. So it's more my own personal experimenting thing, but I think it worked out well. So
what is it that you want to achieve?
Like every dancer, you want to be the best, and I think that's a good thing in every profession, if it is dance or every art form. It's good to have a healthy battle spirit, and I'm a dancer, so I got a lot of battle spirit, especially when you breakdance, because everybody knows breakdancing is showing that you are better or the best or better than the other one that you dance against too. But I want to achieve that I can be proud of myself. So I want to explore my own limits, and if I can, if I'm able to, I want to how do you call it? Go further than my own limits. So it's for me. It's I think to be reflecting myself by doing the thing that I do, but also giving other people a chance to get inspired by the things I do.
Yeah, and I believe you also told me that dance is a way of life for you, a lifestyle.
Yes.
In
Yes.
what way?
Well, I'm a very busy type of person. I do all different kind of things. I do video. I go to school. I'm studying to be an art director. So I got all these disciplines in my life. But dance is like the binding aspect of my life. It reflects in every part of my life. Because, like I said, when I walk at the street, the normal people walk at the street and they notice cars, but they don't really look at it and get inspired by it. But I walk and I always look and see type of movement that I can use in my dance or that I can use in my film.
And
So-
why do you choose to make dance films? What is it you think that relationship between dance and film?
Yes, yes. I started with dancing, or I started with the normal regular hobbies like swimming and doing judo and basketball. But those type of hobbies are all dynamic and all have a kind of speed and rhythm in it. So I was very sensitive for motion and dynamics. So when I started to explore myself, I also noticed a more sensitive part of myself that was writing, like raps and poetry. So I was when I was a year of 14, I think, I was more a rapper kind of thing, and not very serious, not like on TV and stuff. Too bad. But I was a rapper, and I got invited to an event, and I was too late for the rapping part of the event, but there was a breakdancing part. So I talked with the breakdancers over there, and they were doing all kind of tricks, and I was noticing some things I can do, because I learned some movement already by judo practicing. So and that's a little bit. That's also what you see. Disciplines take parts out of other disciplines. Judo has something, or breakdancing has some martial arts in it. But there's a lot of type of things. So I got inspired by it, and I gave it a chance, because the guys, they were telling, you can train with us. Maybe you like it.
So by coincidence you started dancing.
Yeah, by coincidence I left the rapping part and I started dancing. So yeah, that's the part of the dancing thing. And then I get yeah, you have to do something with your life, like making money. So I was thinking, maybe I got an education more focused on creative type of myself, where I can release my creativity. So I went to a designer's school, and there I studied film, because it has a lot of creativity in it. It has got rhythm, it has got originality, it has got a lot of ways to express the same type of emotion, the same type of craft that I can that I put in dance. Also, I can put in.
And what is it that for you film adds to the dance if you make a dance film? So what is it then different that you can or cannot do if you are not using the medium film?
Well, I think like everyone can agree on it, is that with film you can give it a little bit more than just seeing the dancing part with your eyes. You can uplift the dancing.
Different perspectives?
Yeah, you can use some surrealistic type of things which you can't do with your eyes, like you call it shallow deadness. You can see with your eyes shallow deadness.
Yeah.
And so dance can be uplifted by film, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not always necessary, because I think breakdancing is already a kind of magical art form, and that is for every dance part, I think, for every dancing.
And do you use a lot of editing and camera work in your dance films, or do you tend to go for more registration?
It depends of the situation or the person who wants me to film something, because a company like a Red Bull, they always want just the registration work, because a lot of the dancing scene is watching that, and they are not waiting for, I have to see through the art form and then I see someone dance. They want to see just the movements, just the dancing part. But when I make a trailer for some dancer or something, then I go more artistic with my concepts.
And do you get influenced by dances on video clips such as those shown on MTV when you're doing a dance film?
Yeah, I get influenced by everything, but that's more the aesthetic part. I think I pick everything that I like, and that I don't like, I ignore. Because, and that's not only dancing. I don't look only at dancing. I look at National Geographic for inspiration, or Discovery Channel for how it's been made.
And as we know from National Geographic, for example, that animals can also dance. Maybe you as
I got a fish movement in the breakdancing part. It's inspired by fish, and everybody can say, "Oh, do the fish."
Yes, and this year's, and maybe some of you know, this year's guest is David Hinton, and he, for example, has made a film on birds. He just made a movie of birds flying, and it was a beautiful choreography. So yeah, National Geographic is definitely perhaps a good place to look at. Is the film?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. And Rinke, if you see these commercials, do you get the feeling like, okay, I'm going to do also commercials to promote my product?
It's film is important. Like when I made the film, I was mainly focused on the dance perspective. The dance needs to be right, and it needs to be the people I imagined and the lives they had need to be clear, and so you can follow the people and they tell the story. But I think film is very important. So the way you film it and also the editing. That gives an extra level to it. It gets you emotionally, I think, even more involved in watching it.
Yeah. What I also like about your work is, well, because like in dance, let's say you're making a dance for a theater, you create the choreography, and when the choreography is finished, you go to the costume designer, it makes the costumes that fit the dance. But in your case, it's the other way around. You create the costumes, and then you
find the right people. Yes.
But actually, I think, looking to all the films, we have to mention that film is a way to bring your message across to an audience.
Yeah.
Because it's very nice to make your film at home, because then you have a fantastic hobby. But there are sitting some people here, are bringing through video or film or whatever, bringing a message across through multimedia, commercials, internet, whatever. I think that the way that film or film can tell the story and brings the story to your audience is totally different than the way it was 10 years ago. For instance, looking to the Bijenkorf, I think within a few years they won't make commercial television anymore. I think they are going to make more films and put it on the World Wide Web. I think there was even a fashion show of Victor Rolf, I believe, which wasn't a fashion show, but was a 3D animation on your computer.
And the same happens with video clips on MTV. It's not MTV's core business anymore to show music videos. It's reality TV. So I think most dance clips or music videos you see on YouTube. Like Gangnam Style goes viral and becomes really big without television interfering in what kind of way? Any kind of way.
Yeah, I think that's the part of the strength of it, that you can share it. A good story, when you hear a good story, then you got a reason to share it, and that's the reason why it becomes viral. And I think YouTube is a very good channel for it, or the World Wide Web is very. It's called World Wide Web because you can share it worldwide. So that's very good.
Well, like earlier you asked me, is your film art or is it commercial? Well, then I think all the films. I don't know when is a film art and when is a film commercial. Like I think what you want to achieve with making a film is that as many people as possible look at your film. So you can't just say, but is that a new art? Film on YouTube, is that a new art that you watch videos online, or is it just commercial? I don't think it's just commercial. People don't look at YouTube to buy things; it's to get inspired. And I think that's what brands like the Bijenkorf and all the brands like Lanvin, they think, yeah, it's not, we want to sell, but through art or through film.
Yes, and through different communication channels and tools. Hanneke, how do you see the future of dance in commercials and
I think, as I said, that there is a future for it, and I think there's not a very strict border between commercial dance film or artistic dance film. And I think what you said, you look at all sorts of things to get inspired, and it is worldwide, the internet. So what you see is that subcultures are developed not based on a locality. For instance, hip-hop, of course, it comes from the United States, but now it's a global thing. And you in the Netherlands can feel more connected to someone in LA than to your neighbor in your street, because of the things you share through, for instance, YouTube or Facebook, the things you see. So I think for dance, when it relates to commercialism, but also to lifestyle, there's a big future in going worldwide through, for instance, social media. And I think those media have become more available to a lot of people. Of course, a couple of years ago, making a film was only possible for film studios with big budgets. You needed a camera and a director. When you wanted to go on television, you had to go to a broadcaster or an omroep in the Netherlands. But now everyone has a smartphone. A lot of people have computers. So that you saw, for instance, with the jump style craze in the Netherlands. People starting to shoot their little dance films in their backyards with their mobile phones, and that went viral. And it creates a new aesthetic and lots of new possibilities. So I see, a big field opening up.
Yeah, and so one reason for that is accessibility of technical equipment and also possibility of exhibition through YouTube, for example.
Exactly, and I also think that the accessibility or the technical part becoming cheaper is also maybe a reason why Cinedans has more entries, and that dance is spreading through the media.
Yes, and can you tell us a bit more about maybe the aesthetics of these kind of films?
Well, you already mentioned you can, of course, register a dance. Which is quite traditional. It's the way that Fred Astaire liked it, to be shot from head to toe without a lot of editing. putting the choreography and the dance first, with the dancer embodying the choreography.
Do we have an example of this?
We have a little example of Fred Astaire in Royal Wedding.
Shall we see that? Would you like?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Can I talk through it if
Yes.
you put the sound a bit lower? Yeah, I've given you time. Had you registered a moment where it had to start? I think it's towards the end of the movie.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Well, of course, when you want to register a choreography, it's best to shoot the dancer from head to toe and not to have a lot of editing, because when you edit a lot, it breaks up the choreography and it becomes more fragmented. So what you see in these classical Hollywood movies is a lot of these kinds of shots, and Michael Jackson preferred that as well. So when, for instance, So You Think You Can Dance shows performances on television, it's of course the aim to show the performance itself. But when you go to maybe like the commercial of the Bijenkorf or the film of KJ that we just saw, there's a lot of editing, and then you really get this blend of, I'll come to that later, that blend of cinematography, editing, post-production and dance. So it's not like you have a choreography first and then you start filming it, but it becomes a whole production, a unity of dance and film, a synthesis. And that's of course a little bit what you see here as well, because what he's doing here would be impossible in real life. What they've done is turn the room around together with the camera. So he's not dancing upside down, it's just the room that has turned. And of course in commercial Hollywood films they were also exploring these kinds of possibilities, adding something to the dance, making it more interesting, more of a spectacle. And I think that's when you see that dance together with film can create something extra.
Yes, I think it also adds to how we perceive the body, right? How we perceive corporeality from different perspectives.
Well, in this case, of course, he shows a corporeality that is unreal, and we realize that because we have a body and we know what gravity does. But of course, always when we look at dance, we compare it to our own bodies. So dance is in one way universal, in the sense that we all have a body and all can relate to it in some way. But it's also very culture specific, of course, when it comes to certain moves or gestures or aesthetics of dance. It's not a universal thing. And when we want to see the dance, it's nice to have it filmed like this. But of course filmmakers play with it and they break up the movements, making it two-dimensional. What you see now is that slow motion is a big thing in dance film. And then you cross a sort of threshold of perception where you can see different things than you normally would perceive with your eyes when you watch dance. So it creates a new physicality and a new perception of dance. And those possibilities are endless.
Yeah, so I think it's also not what you can see with your eyes, but also what you can do with your body. Like, you cannot move, you know, I don't know, so slow that, you know, or turn your body upside down, and or go inside the body, and
that's what it makes it attractive, I think, for a lot of people, because it's got dance has got a little bit of surrealistic. Because everybody knows the emotions with dance and they can relate to it, but the movement they see, it's a little bit of strange. I mean, it has gotten strange, then people are attracted by it.
You mean stylized?
Yeah, I mean, like the dancing, when I do like head spins on my head, turning on my head, for a lot of people it's like, oh, that's not very everyday scene that I see here. But that's a little bit of out of the ordinary, and that I think it's what makes dance attractive for a lot of people.
Yeah, and then I think by adding the film, you can make dance become even more uncanny by showing, you know, other possibilities that a body can do.
And what film can do.
And what, yeah, through film.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think even you're forgetting one subject, which is the director or the cameraman are moving like a dancer and shooting a scene as if it was dance.
Yeah.
And what you are now feeling and seeing on television is that those words, you can't get them out of each other, because for instance, somebody like Clara, let's stick to my subject, she is thinking like a dancer. Actually, she was a dancer 120 years ago, and she makes movements with the camera as if she's being a dancer. And then there is a new field like Cinedans is exploring. Is this a dance film, or is this a film about dance, or is this the camera movement dancing with somebody? I don't give a flying fuck, to be quite honest, as long as the result tells your story. For instance, this last subject I think is very nice, it's very simple. This could be a commercial now on television. A year ago was something with KPN or something, made kind of commercial, somebody doing that around. So you can be inspired by all those kinds of creativity and all those kinds of disciplinaries. But in nowadays, and especially in the future, they will all be gone, and you're just making films or doing dance kind of things. And I think that's the possibilities are endless.
So you think maybe in 10 years Cinedans doesn't have to make certain categories of films, but they'll be just
all movement.
Or
movement.
Or even further, maybe Cinedans is not existing anymore because we're then at a film festival. And that, or the film festival is not existing there, and it's all becoming Cinedans. But I think the fact that you're building a structure around your own discipline is actually very strange, because what we are saying here is that the boundaries are leaving. So at the end, you're making things for a kind of use. And maybe you look in the near future, you will look only the way it's coming to you through Android or whatever kind of thing, and the gap between documentary films or dancing films or feature films or commercials are it's one thing.
You still have people whose profession is just a dancer or just a cameraman. So how do you see that growing to one? Like if I, for example,
all those kinds of things are Gesamtkunstwerk. I used that word earlier. And sometimes the cameraman is in the lead, sometimes the director is in the lead, sometimes the fashion designer is in the lead, and uses all those kinds of elements to tell his own story. And the reason why you choose it for your story, I think, because you love dance. Because it's not that you hate it. It's something. It gives you the opportunity. It gives you the opportunity to tell your story.
Yeah.
And I think due to all those technical facilities and YouTube and whatever, those possibilities are expanded enormously.
Yeah.
And that's very nice, because that brings a big lake of inspiration is open there, and go for it.
Yes.
See all those movies and go to dance, and all those subjects are okay.
I think, by the way, we have a question.
Yeah, I do have a question. I think it's really interesting the point Patrick brought now, because I felt until like the last discourses yours and his, that we were really separating dancing and film in the sense of two art forms. And what is about nowadays is really screen dance and the formation of screen dancers, who are these people who have both dominations of camera and movements and body cameras. So this knowledge of the camera as dancing together with the dancer. So I think it's a really interesting point also to distinguish or to think how the media, how screen dance on the media nowadays, this is a question maybe for you, and is helping the field itself to come out of this exclusion place, because we are not yet at the film festivals, and why not? And of course, it's one point we have to kind of separate and put it into categories, because it's a kind of new field, and it's maybe easier to approach a public and discuss like different formats. but how maybe the Screendance itself, this more hybrid art form, that I think the Bijenkorf bring it because of Clara, and she's like already with the Deviate, so she has this kind of how to say experience with dancing film, is putting the Screendance itself in an important place, but also being artistic and commercial at the same time. Why is it important for the Screendance field to be in commercials? That's my question in general. Like, yeah, is to the field to become like stronger and more well known, or well, what is also that like the risk of it for the field itself? If you think about artistic and more experimental ways.
I think you don't have to think about risks. I think you have to think about possibilities. And if everybody sitting here wants to tell a certain story, wants to sell clothes or wants to have a good relationship with the Bijenkorf or whatever, everybody has an intention to tell a story. And then I think you should use all ways of telling your story on every level. There is no high and low culture. There is no boundary anymore within a few years. Tell your story. The reason why there is so many So You Think You Can Dance on television, you can discuss about the fact that it's only about street dance or whatever. I think it's fantastic that's over there. I know, for instance, Hans van Manen, who's his film is somewhere over here, he loves to look at those kind of programs because they tell him it's kind of a way, because he loved Fred Astaire first, and now he's looking to it and he's seeing that dances bring to a broader audience. For instance, my children are looking to those programs, but I can't get them to the National Ballet in the Stopera.
Yeah,
but they are looking to those programs. If they look to those programs more than 2 years, I think they will go with me and see there is lots to see in the world.
But maybe I'm not like, my risk, what I'm afraid of, or what we're not discussing here, is that more and more register only of dance are coming to the media. Then for example, the Bijenkorf example for me is really cool because it's more really, as I understand, the Screendance with camera movements and different perspectives. But do you see like the media itself bringing Screendance more commercial than exploring the barriers, or not?
I think we kind of answered this question, but like according to Patrick and Hanneke, yes, but this is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. But I think when you talk about television, for instance, you always have to deal with the whole money-making idea behind television. In commercial television, you show programs because you want to sell commercial time to advertisers. That's why they create television. So you should look for instance, certain omroepen broadcasters in the Netherlands that are not commercial and that want to show the proper Screendance, as you would try and define it. Because I think the danger, because I do like So You Think You Can Dance, it opens up being a dancer or choreographer as a serious career for a lot of people who were maybe first laughed at or not taken seriously. It shows, hey, you can be a dancer or a choreographer and you can make money out of it and you can be successful. But it does show a very one-sided way of dance. For instance, modern dance, and So You Think You Can Dance, is a 3-minute piece on a pop song. It's about death, loss, loneliness. It's always a duet. There are always lots of lifts. And at the end we have to cry. That's modern dance, and So You Think You Can Dance. And I think that's a danger, because it erases all other possibilities and shows a very one-sided discourse on what modern dance can be. So that is a danger. Yeah.
But also, I mean, I think the question of like, you know, high art, low art, it's always relative and it changes with time. For example, when like today we have at university, it's very normal to do film studies, whereas when film studies began in the 1960s, it was a branch, it came out of literary studies. People thought, you're going to study film, you know, it was not seen, or television studies, it was not seen as a serious and popular art form. And I think the same is also relevant for dance. Like I started dancing when I was 4, and at the age of 11, I went to the conservatory, and I come from a family, they're all engineers, and I was the only artistic person, and then the comment that I would get from family members or friends were like, "Oh, why did you choose dance? Were you bad in mathematics?" But I think today, if you say, I'm a dancer, it's quite an accepted thing. Yeah. And maybe I also think that in the future, like dance, or I would say like dance and technology, they have always been together since the history of dance, and dance has always incorporated technologies or social cultural changes into itself, and it has adapted itself to these changes. And I think that this will also happen in the future. But it doesn't mean that dance made for a theater will vanish and disappear. But I also agree that there will be different forms of dance, either in its making, either in its distribution or its exhibition. And I think that they each will serve a different purpose. And I also believe, having also media studies background, that popular culture is not necessarily a bad thing. It has a function, it has a lot of meaning for many people, and you can communicate through it. And I think dance will move in this way, adapting itself to social cultural changes, but also technological possibilities. And I think it's very interesting to see where it will all continue.
Yeah.
Can I add one more thing?
Yes, and then we have a question also.
Just a short thing, that another positive thing is that media, for instance dance on film or YouTube, gives dancers and choreographers a face. Because I think a lot of people, when they go to intro dance or Scapino or whatever, they maybe know the name of the choreographer, but the dancers are anonymous. They're not like actors, they're not like members of a band, they're more like an anonymous symphonic orchestra, and people don't know their names. So maybe it can bring back the status or the stardom like we had in the 60s and the 70s of dancers, make them less anonymous. And I think that's a big value of media. I hope it can do that.
Look what DJs did to the world. When I was a little bit younger, we went to parties and there was a DJ, but nobody knows his name. And see what's happening now. I think that the same, and I think if you go further back in the history, dancers were really heroes. But Igor de Jong can go across the street without any applause. And so the star dancer of the National Ballet. And I think in the near future, due to those programs, people will stop and say, "I like you, because you're very good." And then they will become the new pop stars, can become the new pop star. And I think all those new medias and also those programs which you are mentioning bring that to the world. So give the credits to the people who are working the hardest.
So it becomes more commercial dance. Otherwise, people don't. First was more like
new stardom.
Yeah.
You can be a star in the near future. In the former days when there was one star, you just saw a small video when I came in. These were stars in those days, and I think the new stars are being born in those programs, and not all of them will become stars, but actually you will see that there is craftsmanship and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of training behind it to become to tell your story on that certain high quality level.
But we have two questions. So first one.
Yeah, I have one question. If the goal is communicating something, now you discover that you can use the dance in the cinema and combine both things. What about including also drama? I mean, acting, like old-fashioned movies like Fred Astaire and so on. Do you think that we are gonna see a coming back of this kind of movies in which you dance, you sing, you act?
I hope, because I like all those kind of ways of. It's craftsmanship. 2 days yesterday evening I had a big brainstorm evening with a director and a story writer and an art director, and they're all bringing quality on the table. And if you talk about a good actor who's saying one sentence, can tell lots more in that one sentence, in those 4 words, than somebody else does. I just made a film for the 125 years existing of the Concertgebouw in Amsterdam, and I asked Tom Hofman to play a small role without telling something, but actually acting like a photo is coming to life. I can't show you at this moment, but it's on YouTube. Xaga en 125 jaar Concertgebouw. And you see within 2 shots that it's a good film because it's a good actor. You feel it.
But dancers are not the same as actors, you know?
No, but I think...
Dancer, you can, it's difficult to find people that can dance and act at the same time.
Yes. But sometimes the focus is more on acting, and sometimes the focus is more on dancing, or sometimes it goes back. And not all those actors or all those dancers are the best. They don't have to have it all, because who has everything?
Well, then you get the people from Broadway that are cast in Hollywood musicals. But when you have, for instance, The Black Swan, the big Oscar-winning movie of last year, of course they used lots of body doubles for the dancers. Because you cannot do it all. You need to have 2 different, well...
Professions.
Yeah, to really be a dancer and a singer. And of course it was much more common in the 1930s, 40s and 50s in Hollywood to do it all. Even if you were a serious actor, you had to know a bit of tap dancing, otherwise you won't have a job. So nowadays it's different, but I think it's coming back. I know, for instance, at the Film Acting Academy in Amsterdam, they are taught tap dancing again. So in lots of dance academies they're looking for how can we make a connection to the theater department, because interdisciplinarity is the thing. And I think it will benefit you as an artist if you can do everything very well. But
and to go and to explore that. I think
least,
I used to, forward days I did a television program which was being hosted by Leonie Jansen. At that time she was a host, a television host, but she's a very good singer. And she started to sing in her own program, and the people didn't understand it, what was happening there, because in Holland, or you are a host, or you are a singer. See what Hadwig Minnes is doing. She's an actress of the... she used to work for the toneelgezelschap in Amsterdam, toneelgroep Amsterdam, and she now stopped with acting, at least for short times, and she's now becoming a singer. She's making CDs together with Mike Baudet, she's singing in a musical, and people are a little bit, how do you say it, they don't know how to manage that role. Because in musical they do. For instance, Chantal Jansen knows everything, she does everything, but she does everything to a certain level, and that makes her to a fantastic musical artist. But if you see Chantal Jansen playing Rachel Hazes in a musical, or you see Hadwig Minnes singing the same role, these are totally opposite. I've seen them both playing, and they add something special to the role. So sometimes an actor brings something to a role, and sometimes a dancer can add something to a role. And that's, I think it's opening, and it gives actors more chances. And I think it's only very nice to see it, to see the differences and be inspired by it.
But I would like to give a very trivial example, comment on this. My like living in Holland for 10 years. It's the same if you go in a cafe and you order a sandwich. You can only have like with cheese or with ham, but you can't have cheese and ham and tomato. If you say, can I also have like add tomato, they're like, they don't know what to do because it's just not in the system. They go like, oh, I'm temporarily out of order. But anyway, that was just
but in hip hop, it's always combined.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to add that I'm a dancer, and I have to act a lot of times, and maybe not when I'm very conscious of it, but when I have to convince my opponent that I'm really battling him like I can kill him, then I have to make sure that he believes that I'm gonna kill him. But when the battle is over, we're good friends. But at the moment of the heat, then I'm also acting. And I think dancers have the skill and the capability to communicate communicate their emotions. So, and with acting and drama, that's, I think, the basic part, or the more essential part is communicate your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm sorry, there was a question that waiting since a while.
I was wondering why until now the focus has only been put in what is commercial issues doing to dance or to dance film. as if dance or dance film was like an innocuous agent in this relationship. And for me, at some point, it's also working like a Troy horse, and it's also doing a huge thing to commercials, and it's having a great impact in commercials. And since dance and movement is being engaged in the creation of commercials, abstraction is invited to commercials, and the possibility of dealing with a meaning that cannot be encapsulated and caught and be unidirectional as commercials usually are. So it's also, in my opinion, having a great impact in how commercials are being think and how commercials repercute in the audience, you know. And then commercials end up being wider and broader in meaning.
They also, like a commercial like the Bijenkorf is a commercial for the Bijenkorf, but also for the dancers. It brings up dance to the wider public.
Yes, and I'm relating with a commercial in a way that I usually only could relate with an artistic form.
Yeah.
And I can bring myself to a commercial, and I can take from a commercial more than the commercial is willing to give to me.
Yes.
It's kind of poetry.
Yeah, it's like
kind of poetry.
It's like it's exactly the way YouTube is working. I get a commercial first, and then I get the video that I want to see. You know, and that's exactly what is happening with dance and commercials. I need to see the product that you're trying to sell me, but in return I also see dance.
Yeah.
And this is also happening, and it's an exchange, so it's not so innocuous, in my opinion.
It happens a lot
So
as
not
well.
black and white, yeah.
Sometimes if you watch a commercial, you remember the commercial, the acting's bit before, well, for example, you remember, oh yeah, that's a nice little story, but what was the brand? I forgot it. You know, there's a lot of commercials that you don't know what was the product, it's just the little story that they sent that you remember. Yeah.
Or is it, Patrick? Would you agree to that?
Yes, it's not only, as I will call it, mooi filmerij, making a beautiful movie. You try at the end, the Bijenkorf is paying my salary. So I have to be aware of the goals they are giving me to make those kinds of commercials. So at the end I have to sell trousers.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I'm saying. You need to sell trousers, and because you want to sell trousers, you give me something else.
Yes,
and you give me this dance.
That's really,
and then I say, okay, I will let you believe that I will buy your trousers, but in the end, I'm only interested in the dance that you are showing me. You know?
But I think that's more in the eye of the beholder, because someone who's interested in the trousers will more feel related to the trousers and to dancing.
And there's
it's the motion part where the dance communicates, I think.
First of all, you tell a story about the dance, that this is what you pick out of the commercial. Some people will buy that trouser or another trouser at the Bijenkorf, but it tells something about the level on which the Bijenkorf wants to be. Like the Cartier film I was explaining to somebody, I saw yesterday evening a film about a panther. Black Panther of Cartier, it cost $4 million. It took 3 minutes or 4 minutes
to make the commercial.
To make the commercial, $4 million again, which is humongous. But it lifts the brand Cartier to an high class level. So that's the third thing you sell. Is you sell trousers, you sell dance, and you sell the brand. Actually,
an image. And it's only because they are interested in selling the brand that in this way that they are choosing dance. Otherwise, if they were trying to say something different, maybe they would say that it's bio, and it would be like a really green commercial and had no dance at all. Of course, if they are selling a brand.
But what it does do is that it sort of teaches the audience a new way of looking at film or movement on film. For instance, when you look at commercials 30 years ago, it was this is washing powder, this is what it does, buy it, very explicit. But now it sort of changes your way of perceiving the media. It makes you work more, maybe, when you look at it. to try and discover the message and how it relates to the product. But maybe that can also work to benefit theater-going audiences in making them ready to look at abstraction, stylization, things that are not so obvious as this is the washing powder you need to buy. So maybe it delivers a new kind of or a bigger audience for this kind of art.
Yes, and by the way, I have to notify us all that we are kind of at the end of our time. So if you have a burning question, now is the time.
Well, this is actually, it's very nice if you look at the whole afternoon. You know, all this is very old. The way commercials started was that there were little art films, and somewhere at the end maybe you see the Philips radio or whatever. So and there were great artists asked to make the films. So they were very long. You know, they were maybe 8 minutes, 10 minutes. There was
Like soap series with products embedded in them.
Yeah. So it's so interesting that you say this about the soap. So we're in this wave, kind of going back to where it started. And it's great artists making beautiful films.
As you were doing the opening of the Philips Museum in a month's time in Eindhoven, and one film which we show there is an old film made by the best, I don't know exactly the name.
George Paul.
Excuse me?
George Paul?
No, it was a very old film of Philips, and they asked really the best composers internationally, and they showed their film at the Wereldtentoonstelling. And it was a really beautiful film, and if you look to it now, and I say it has been made yesterday, you will believe it. Because it has another kind of value, and it has another kind of quality. And I think what we are discussing here today is the thing which is called kind of quality, which everybody can discuss around, because everybody has a different feeling, but you will intrinsic feel what is the quality. And that's the most beautiful thing which this festival shows us, that there are that there is a kind of underneath feeling underneath everything which lifts the quality. And I think dance can bring that, film can bring that, and if you combine them, sometimes it also will uplift that feeling. And it's very difficult to explain where it is, but it is there. I believe in it.
Well, I was supposed to do a kind of summary of the things discussed, but you have done
I did it already.
No, it was beautiful, thank you. But no, definitely. So that's what I was going to say. But also, yeah, I think it's really interesting. This whole movement where we are at today, like socially, but also all these technological developments, and where this will all take us in terms of dance and film, and dance on screen, combined with urban fashion, hip hop, commercial. But it's definitely, whatever is going to happen is going to be really interesting, and Cinedans will be there. Thank you so much for the. I would like to thank Ninka, Matteo, and others from Cinedans for making this afternoon possible, and the guests, of course, and you, dear audience. I hope you have a lovely evening watching rest of the Cinedans program, or running to Bijenkorf to buy a new pair of jeans.
Open until 6 o'clock.